Hey everyone, this is Eran Stern for Artbeats.com with another creative tutorial. And this time I wanted to share with you one of my recipes for creating a TV channel interludes. We'll use our good old friend, the displacement map effect, combined with a few more extra touches to generate those elegant glassy look feel. The main aim here is the footage itself. I wanted the footage to become the message, exactly like Marshall McLuhan's famous phrase, "The medium is the message." So my medium here are those wonderful HD extreme slow motion clips from Artbeats. And let's start using them to convey our message to our audience. So, as always, it all starts with the logo. Here inside Adobe Illustrator, I designed this simple but very elegant and great looking logo of our fictional SportHD TV station. So this is a vector shape which allow me to export and use it as a base to create a 3D fancy logo. At this case, I choose to create it with a little bit more attention using Cinema 4D. Now, of course, this is just one option. I will quickly go through the stages so you will understand what I have here. It's very, very simple. I just import the vectors to Cinema 4D and then just divide it to two groups and extrude each one of them using the extrude NURBS option. And then I just added two lights, one from the left, one from the right, and get a stationary camera. Just place the logo here at the screen, at the middle of the screen. And basically this is my final render. This is all that I did inside the 3D package. Just make sure that if you are doing it like this, render a huge file because we will need a very large 3D logo when we are working inside After Effects for a full HD composition. In my case, I've used 6000 by 2000. This is my custom width and height, and I just basically save the file to a PNG format with an alpha channel. I will include those Cinema 4D and After Effects project file with the download of this tutorial so you can get a closer look if you like to see a little bit more in depth. However, this is all I did in terms of the 3D-ness of this project, and I just wanted you to see what we have here. Now at this stage, after I've rendered the file, I went to After Effects and import this logo. And as I said, this is almost a 6K file in terms of measurements, but it renders pretty quickly due to the fact that it is just one frame. Okay, so I took this logo and basically placed it in an HD composition. So we are now looking at the HD logo composition, which will be the base for our displacement source, which will be used in the interlude composition in a minute. So a full HD composition, the length is 10 seconds and the background color is black. Wow, very exciting. Okay, so what I did here is basically place this one and just created two keyframes. So these keyframes are from right to left. You can see the logo is just moving from one end of the screen to the other end. So this is just one instance, and this instance is just ending around 6.5 seconds. And then underneath it, there is another instance. Let me just show you by soloing it what this layer is doing. Basically doing the opposite move. So from left to right. And then at the end is just, this is a 3D layer, so what it does, it's basically swivel a little bit in terms of rotation to its place. Once again, let's look at the keyframes. So you can see keyframes for position and scale and for the Y rotation. So this will be a quick full revolution on the y-axis. And in this case, since I'm going to use it as a displacement source, I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to enable motion blur for either one of these layers. Motion blur and displacement source will not go hand in hand for the effect that I want to achieve. At the resting point here, the logo is just touching the safe title area of the HD screen. And then at the end, there is also a very simple particles layer. This is just a plain solid with the CC particle system 2 effect. This is a 2D particle systems effect. I'm using here the tri-polygon particle types, which creates just those tiny small triangles. I colorize them to fit to the colors of the logo. And then I'm using the direction animation system, which allows me to throw them in one direction, in this case minus 90 degrees to the left, and then using a few particles at the beginning, minimizing the birth rate with 2 keyframes, I've managed to create this interesting look, which I think contributes to the emotion of the logo itself. So you can see what we have, and we will use it as a displacement source and also as our final logo animation. Now, I know that at this stage, it just looks like one hell mess of things and doesn't even relate to the thing that I show you at the beginning. But wait with me a few more minutes and you will see how well it integrates. Okay, so at this point, let's hop on to the interlude composition, which is basically an empty full HD composition. Once again, the duration is 10 seconds, and I'm going to switch to my project panel and then just open my Artbeats clip folder. Now here at this instance, I've got 4 clips, which I'm going to use just in order to show you the variety. Now, of course, you can use other clips from Artbeats as well. Just make sure to select some kind of a slow motion clip which works a little bit better than others. Anyhow, let's start with the first one, this J313-10H. First, I just want to play this one for you because I think this clip is so amazing. Look at this slow motion water just everywhere. It's just wonderful, and our purpose here is to maintain the qualities of the clip and just add to it using our own design, but not, once again, not harming it. Just make sure the clip will stay at the focus of the shot here. So what we are going to do now is, first off, I'm going to drop my HD logo composition here, and at this point I'm going to turn off the eye for it. Later, I'm going to re-enable it and use it as a source as well, but for now, let's just hide it. Now, I'm going to layer new and create myself a new adjustment layer. And to this adjustment layer, let's just drop it underneath our logo. To it, I'm going to apply the displacement map effect, which is under the distort category. Double click on the effect while the layer, the adjustment layer, is highlighted. And then let's select a displacement map layer. Now we already prepared our displacement. We are going to use, of course, the HD logo. I'm going to drag my cursor a little bit to the middle here so you can see what we have. And we already start to see some kind of distortion. I'm going to use for both the horizontal and vertical displacement the luminance values from my clip. And then I'm going to reset the vertical displacement to 0. I just want to create a horizontal displacement, but a huge one. So instead of 5, let's just start dragging it until we see something very unique really happening on the screen. And I came up with 200. I think that 200 really gave me the results that I'm after. But it also leaves a gap here while the footage is being distorted. So for that, you can just tick the warp pixels around, and it will probably fix it for you. Now, this by itself already looks very promising. So let's just play a few seconds of this, and you can already see that even without doing anything else, just putting the displacement HD logo source as our source using the displacement map effect, we are already putting things in motion, and we really have some very nice and interesting glassy effect here. But I wanted a little bit more effect in terms of my camera, something which will probably happen if we are going to put some kind of glass in front of the camera, and this will probably make the iris go a little bit crazy, and some point will be blurred and some won't. It also going to solve here, and let me just move to full screen. You can see there is some kind of a jagged edges here and there. So I also wanted to get rid of those. So for that, I'm going to use the new camera lens blur effect. I'm going to place it after the displacement map. And in order to tell it which area of the shot needs to be blurred, I'm just going to use once again our HD logo under the blur map here. And here you just basically have to play with the blur radius until you find something which looks nice. So I came up with 10, which solves the problem that we just saw in terms of the rugged edges, and it gave the footage here a very interesting look. So part of it looks like it's out of focus, and part of it looks like it is in full focus. And I just want to play a few frames here so you can see that with those few simple steps, we already got something which is very professional looking and very interesting, and it works very, very nicely with the footage itself. And this was, remember, my first aim. This was my first purpose, not to steal the glory of the footage. And since we are using this blur effect, it's also have a feeling that it shifts the picture a little bit, which I liked very much. Although at the end, I didn't care for the logo at this stage. I thought that I might introduce a little bit of the original logo in terms of colors and maybe in terms of clarity as well. So let's open up the eye for it. And now we have everything mingled together on the screen. This is obviously too much, so we need to lower the opacity. Let's start with 50%. So we'll have some kind of a mix between those two. And then at this stage, at this point, I just started to play with my blending modes. Now, of course, there are a lot of things to choose from. Always try at least 3. I will recommend the multiply, the screen, and the overlay. This is always my 3 starting points, and if I find something which works, then I'm going to leave it like this. But in this case, I found out that color dodge is working, I think, the best here, because it keeps the glassy look. We can almost read the title once it rolling across the screen, crawling across the screen, and at the end, just before the logo will come to its full glory, let's record a keyframe for the opacity and then move forward a little bit, maybe around here. So maybe 622, and let's bring it to its full opacity, meaning it will not be transparent. We will only use the blending mode in terms of the mix between those two. So we'll have our full logo mixed into the shot at the end. Okay, so let's play the first one full screen. We'll see how everything is working together. And I have to agree, this looks very, very impressive. After seeing it a few times, I thought that, well, if it is really a good recipe, it should work with other footage as well. So let's give it a try and let's see how easy it is to replace footage. So I have another great clip here. I'm just going to drag and drop it on top of my other clip. And this is once again a slow motion of a girl just jumping in the air, great for acrobatics and athletics and Olympics and everything, I guess, that ends with ICS, something like this. And so let's try it with this shot, see if those graphics we just prepared are working with a different shot as well, and I think they do. I'm not going to stop here. Let's try with another shot, and this is UM 211, and in this case this shot is a little bit longer, and this is a great shot of a golf player just hitting the ball. So we need to time it. We know that here the logo is appearing from its revolving animation, and just a little bit after it's on the screen, I'm going to drag it so we'll have the important motion here on the screen. So maybe something like this. We might want to see a little bit of the ball just distorting behind the letters, and then it will come up. Our triangles will go to the left and the ball will go up in the air. And let's once again preview it. And while it's previewing, I just want to show you that if you want more footage like this, you can come to artbeats.com and search for the ultra motion clips, and actually you see that there is a full collection of those clips which you can of course browse and preview, and also download your own HD comp, full HD size, and find out if there is something which suits you. Now After Effects is blinking here, so it means that the run preview is over. Let's hop back and see how the third instance is looking. And it's working with this clip as well. So you get the point. You can basically use this recipe and drop more clips here. I will end up with this one just to show you another technique. In this case we have a net, and then there is this nice badminton ball which is just hitting the net. Now in this case it happens a little bit quicker, which means that it happens before our logo is settling down. So the easiest solution is just use time remap. So Control plus Alt and T, or Command Alt T on a Mac, and this will create 2 keyframes. In my case, the last one is just out of the screen. It doesn't really matter because all I need to do is just identify where the first one here is. So just a little bit before it hits, I'm going to record a keyframe for the time remap, and then just move my playhead to where the logo is in place and just drag it a little bit, and let's just preview it from this current time just to check that after all the action is finishing, we have the action from the video itself. So something like this works very good. By the way, this clip is from the Oriental Red brand, which can be found of course on artbeats.com as well. Now let's play our 4 different versions that we did to see the final channel interludes running back to back here. And as you see, putting this technique to action was very simple, and the result usually is quite good and quite impressive, if I may say so myself. At the end of the day, it all comes down to the quality of the footage itself, and in this area you know that Artbeats really shines. I hope you found this technique useful. Until next time we'll meet, this is Eran from Stern Effects for Artbeats.com, wishing you a great and creative day. Goodbye.